The concept of hidden miracles in the Bible invites us to explore events within biblical narratives that are often overlooked or not immediately recognized as miraculous. These are moments where divine intervention subtly influences the course of events in ways that might not immediately stand out as traditional miracles, like parting seas or raising the dead. Instead, they are moments where divine influence is implicit rather than explicit, waiting to be discovered through deeper reading and reflection. The significance of this topic lies in expanding our understanding of what constitutes a miracle. It encourages us to appreciate the intricate ways in which the divine operates, highlighting a more nuanced picture of God's involvement in the world. By identifying these miracles, we gain a deeper insight into the nature of faith and the ways in which divine grace permeates everyday life. One such example is the story of Esther. At no point does God directly intervene with supernatural phenomena. Yet the series of events leading to the salvation of the Jewish people is so intricately woven that one cannot help but perceive a hidden divine orchestration. Similarly, the story of Ruth might not seem miraculous at first glance. Yet Ruth's loyalty and Boaz's kindness ultimately lead to the lineage from which King David, and later, according to Christian tradition, Jesus descend, showcasing the subtle weaving of providence in the fabric of human lives. Supporters of this idea argue that the presence of hidden miracles in the Bible aligns with the belief in a God whose ways are mysterious and who works through the seemingly ordinary lives of individuals. This perspective can challenge readers to look beyond the obvious and recognize the miraculous in the subtle. However, this concept isn't without its controversies. Some may argue that labeling these events as miracles stretches the traditional definition too far and risks undermining the extraordinary nature of biblical miracles. Others might question the implications of seeing divine intent in every event, potentially leading to an overinterpretation of Scripture. Connecting this point to the broader topic, hidden miracles underscore a larger narrative theme in the Bible, that God is constantly at work in ways not immediately visible. This understanding enhances other aspects of biblical stories, providing a richer, layered interpretation that invites believers to discover the divine in everyday life. By recognizing these unnoticed miracles, audiences are encouraged to deepen their spiritual awareness and seek a more profound connection with the unfolding mysteries of faith. The concept of miracles in daily life, lesser-known biblical events, revolves around recognizing the subtle, often overlooked miraculous events in the Bible that occurred in everyday life settings, demonstrating that divine intervention wasn't limited to grandiose spectacles. These moments showcase how the divine subtly interacts with human affairs, offering a glimpse into a more intimate dimension of the divine-human relationship. The significance of these lesser-known events lies in their ability to remind us that miracles are not always about parting seas or raising the dead. They often occur in the quiet corners of our lives, reinforcing the notion that the divine is present in our daily routines and challenges. By acknowledging these events, we broaden our understanding of what constitutes a miracle and how it can manifest in the ordinary. A prime example is the story of Elijah being fed by ravens during a drought. This miracle shows divine provision and care in a simple yet profound manner, highlighting how God's intervention can sustain us in practical, everyday situations. Another example is Naaman's healing from leprosy through washing in the Jordan River. This event emphasizes humility and obedience, where a miraculous outcome arises from following seemingly mundane instructions, demonstrating that miracles often require an active participation in faith. Supporters of this perspective argue that noticing these subtle divine actions enriches faith, encouraging believers to look beyond the obvious for signs of grace in their lives. It fosters a deeper spirituality that sees divine touch in the fabric of the everyday, promoting a continuous sense of gratitude and presence. However, challenges to this viewpoint exist. Critics may argue that attributing routine events to miraculous intervention could diminish the significance of more dramatic biblical miracles, creating a risk of over-spiritualizing regular occurrences. This perspective raises questions about discernment and interpretation, urging believers to carefully differentiate between divine miracles and natural happenstances. Ultimately, recognizing miracles in daily life offers a transformative view that influences the broader theology of miracles. It connects to traditional understandings by expanding the scope of divine action, encouraging believers to seek deeper connections with the divine, not just in crises, but woven throughout their everyday lives. In doing so, it complements the main theme by highlighting the constant potential for divine interaction, fostering an enriched faith journey that sees miracles not as rare exceptions, but as an ongoing, integral facet of life. Subtle divine interventions, surprising scripture. Moments highlights those often overlooked instances in the Bible where divine influence quietly guides events or individuals. These understated moments of divine intervention lack the drama of grand miracles, yet they carry significant weight in shaping biblical narratives and conveying deeper theological insights. Recognizing these moments helps readers appreciate the nuances of divine action and the myriad ways God influences human history in the Scriptures. The importance of this point in relation to the main topic lies in its ability to reveal the breadth and depth of God's involvement in the biblical story, often operating behind the scenes. These interventions underscore a belief in a God who is intimately involved in the world, orchestrating events for a greater purpose. And this understanding enriches our interpretation of the Bible as a work filled with divine purpose. Consider the book of Esther, where God's presence isn't explicitly mentioned. However, the unfolding events, such as Esther's rise to queen, Mordecai uncovering a plot against the king, and Haman's downfall, suggest a divine hand subtly guiding the narrative to ensure the survival of the Jewish people. Similarly, the story of Joseph in Genesis offers another example. Sold into slavery by his brothers, Joseph rises to a position of power in Egypt, ultimately saving his family from famine. His ability to see God's hand in these adversities exemplifies a subtle yet profound divine intervention. Supporters of this idea argue that these understated divine acts demonstrate God's omnipresence and wisdom, guiding humanity with precision and care. This perspective encourages readers to look for God's presence in their own lives, even in seemingly insignificant moments. However, some may challenge the interpretation of these events as divine interventions, instead attributing them to natural occurrences or human actions. Skeptics argue that labeling these moments as divine detracts from human agency and responsibility. Despite these challenges, subtle divine interventions connect deeply with the broader topic of miraculous moments by expanding the definition of what constitutes a miracle. They remind us that the miraculous in the Bible isn't limited to the extraordinary, but is also found in the everyday, fostering a more comprehensive understanding of divine influence throughout biblical history. By appreciating these quieter moments, readers gain a more holistic view of how the extraordinary intertwines with the ordinary in Scripture, allowing for a richer faith experience. Analyzing symbolism in understated miracles involves delving into the Bible's subtler instances of divine intervention that may not be as overt or grandiose as more famous miracles like the parting of the Red Sea or the resurrection of Jesus. These understated miracles often carry deep symbolic meanings, enriching the narrative and providing layers of understanding about faith, divine providence, and human nature. The significance of examining these understated miracles lies in the profound, yet easily overlooked insights they offer into biblical teachings. By paying attention to these events, readers can gain a more nuanced appreciation of scriptural messages and the pervasive presence of the divine in everyday life. For instance, consider the story of Elijah being fed by ravens during a drought. At first glance, it may seem a simple tale of survival, but symbolically it represents God's provision and care, even through unlikely means. Another example is the conversion of water into wine at the wedding at Cana. While a public miracle, its symbolic depth is often understated. Beyond providing for a celebration, it signifies transformation, abundance, and the ushering in of a new covenant between God and humanity. These subtle miracles, rich in symbolism, invite deeper contemplation on the nature of faith and divine interaction. Support for this analysis comes from theologians and biblical scholars who argue that the Bible's layers and subtleties are crucial for a holistic understanding. They emphasize that miracles are not just divine spectacles, but complex messages that reveal God's character and intentions. Challenges to this perspective include the tendency for some interpretations to become overly allegorical, stretching the text's meaning beyond what could have been intended. There is also the viewpoint that focusing on symbolic interpretation might detract from the historical and literal aspects of the Bible, which are also valuable. This focus on understated miracles links to broader biblical themes such as the omnipresence of God and the importance of faith in interpreting the divine. It encourages believers to seek God in the mundane and to recognize the profound in the ordinary, thereby enhancing their spiritual journey and understanding of biblical narratives. Overall, acknowledging the symbolism in these miracles enriches the study of the Bible, encouraging a more engaged and thoughtful reading of its texts.